This is A Few Good Fights, episode 27. I'm your host, Robert Palin. That's Sean Taylor. Sean, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
You good, yeah?
Yeah.
How was your weekend?
Grand, yeah. Good, yeah.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Decent show. There's a card on this weekend. It is Weidman making his light heavyweight debut, and he fights Dominick Reyes. We're going to break that card down. But there's also a lot of news, and I want to talk about a lot of news that's out there. Jorge Masvidal and Ben Askren are back in the news. We're going to have a chat about that. Khabib is in the news. GSP is in the news. Just getting all these clickbaity names out. Is Conor in the news? No. Whatever. Let's talk about it.
Well, he was in some news.
He was in some news. UFC Fight Night Tampa went down last weekend. It's been some time, Sean, so I don't want to get into the weeds on the actual fights too much. I want to talk about kind of what's happened since, and the implications and a few thoughts on some of the fights. We're not going to go too deep into this, and we'll soon move on to some Jorge Masvidal, Ben Askren news, because that's in the news again. Joanna Jedrzejczyk got a big win over Michelle Waterson. Yeah. Everyone was talking about this being a number one contender fight. Going into it, especially for Michelle, I think. Yeah. But thoughts now since Joanna went in, looked really good. Is she next for the title, and what's your thoughts on her performance?
Is she next for the title? Probably. Yeah. Tatiana's injured, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tatiana's injured, so I think that will make sense. Yeah. Horan Zhang is a really good fight. Really interesting fight. I think that's a massive win for Joanna, to be honest. I know she lost at the weight above, so kind of put that one to the side.
Yeah, you can kind of put it to the side.
She was coming off the back of 2 losses to Rose. Which really took away a lot of the mystique around her. Yeah. This whole boogie woman thing. Yeah. It took a lot of that away. So this is a really big win for her, and she looked very good as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and if we were playing Street Fighter right now or something like that, and you wanted to pick 2 fighters that would just be the funnest fighters to play with, to fight against each other, it might be Zhang and Joanna, I think, because they're just their styles seem to mesh really well. 2 really good strikers and 2 fighters who have evolved really well in the game, I think. Yeah. And it seems like Zhang has finally got our visa to fight in the US. So if they want to do that fight in the US, they actually can. They don't need to fly
massive
over.
if they do it in China,
It is, yeah, and they probably could. They have so many titles. I don't see why they couldn't do that. I'd be up for it. I think that'd be cool.
I'd have no problem with them doing it in China. I think it probably makes sense. I mean, if you're going to try and break that Chinese market,
do it with your Chinese champ.
Do it in a stadium in China.
Oh man, yeah, and they probably could do that. Yeah,
China would probably build a stadium for them.
They probably would, yeah. But China's a bit mad now, isn't it? Yeah. So I thought she looked good, Joanna. Tough loss for Michelle. I always like Michelle Waterson. Seems like a really good character, and she's very, very small for that division.
Yeah, it's tough.
She is very, very small. You could see it in there. She has clearly done a shit ton of strength and conditioning to try be competitive athletically,
and she's done
at
very
that
well.
weight, and she's done very well at it. But you can see from her frame when you look at girls like Joanna when they're in the clinch, you can see that she's just never gonna be somebody who can be 100% competitive against the bigger girls in this division.
It's a tough one for her because she after 3-fight win streak she was on, she arguably could have got a title shot without that Joanna fight.
I agree.
If the division was sitting differently at the minute, I don't know where do you go from here.
Yeah,
it's
I don't know. Is it just a continuation? Does she just continue on? Realistically, the UFC probably could bring in an atomweight division, and they could populate it with enough fighters, but a lot of them women's divisions just are.
If you're bringing in an atomweight, it's going to end up like featherweight, innit? Where you're just kind of whipping the belt out when you're stuck for a pay-per-view.
Probably. I think that they could get enough talent that would be interesting, but then you'll probably also devour a lot of those divisions you already have.
Yeah,
so it could be a
cannibalizing things.
Yeah, and it's probably because I like Michelle that I'm like, let's give her a division to.
You're kind of getting some of the ones who are okay at making strawweight down to just try and cut more weight.
Yeah,
so you're thinning out strawweight as well.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a little bit on weight cutting. Also on the card, what else stood out for you on the card before we move on? Was there
Cub
anything?
Swanson got a W.
Yes,
yeah,
sure did.
Very good win against Crone Gracie. A lot of people picked against him. We picked against him.
Sure did.
We picked against him, and he looked really good.
Yeah, he did.
Crone Gracie thinks he won the fight as well.
He sure didn't. And the earth is flat.
Yeah.
It was a good performance, and to be fair to Crone, he went in there and he struck with a guy who likes to strike. Struck? Yeah, we'll use that.
So the guy who likes to fight.
Yeah, he did, and it was a fun fight. Crone looked like a Diaz brother with worse boxing, but it was fun. No takedown attempts. I would have liked to see what would happen if they mix it up there, but sometimes that always can't happen. But that was fun. Cub Swanson gets a win.
I love that description of Mazda Diaz with worst boxing.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Nico Price is a madman,
Yeah.
as we talked about last week. And he upkick from his back.
Sicko.
KO over Vic. Unbelievable. That was fun. I like Nico Price quite a lot, and god damn it, Vic, like that guy is just taking a lot of damage. Like what?
Yeah.
Where does he go from here?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one.
Isn't it?
It's a tough one.
Yeah, like I realistically don't see him getting to where he wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And like before his losing streak started, he was talking about how he wants like big fights and stuff, and he's not making enough money. And at this point, I'm not sure how he turns it around. I'm really not. Amanda Rebus beat Mackenzie Dern. Another surprising one for a lot of people.
Violent Bob Ross took an L.
Violent Bob Ross took an L, but should he have? It was a bit ropey.
Yeah.
Bit ropey. The fans didn't like it, but fair enough. Ryan Spann got a big win. Guillotine choke, that was lovely.
And the one that we're forgetting about.
Mike Davis.
Yeah.
Thomas Gifford.
That one.
What's your thoughts on this one, Sean?
I mean, I've seen Gifford talking since, and he says he was happy that his corner didn't stop it and that the ref didn't stop it.
Shades of Raquel Pennington. Remember that one?
He's gonna say that. Like he's a fighter. He wants to fight. Fighters need to be protected from themselves. Like, I don't know. His corner. I actually
have they ever seen Rocky 3?
Like
Rocky 4?
At the end of that second round, he was out on his feet. Like.
Yeah.
He was out on his feet. Like, your corner use your fucking brain. Step in and save your man for another day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty hard to watch.
Like, I was listening to Morning Combat with Luke Thomas today, and one of the things that they said was that they don't think much is going to change until someone dies from something like this. And then, like,
probably, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a really weird situation because, like, what do you do? Like, they were talking about, like, does the promotion have an obligation to maybe, like, in the fight say, let's get this stopped? Or is that just on the officials? Like, I think that's a grey area. I
think it's on the officials and the corner, because I think if the promotion start getting involved, it's a lot of interference.
Yeah, like
that's how I'd feel on that.
Yeah,
one.
like imagine if, like, you could easily say, like, if the UFC like start stopping fights.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I wouldn't back that. No.
Yeah, that could get a bit ropey. I'm not saying they were saying that's what should happen.
A problem is as well, the fighters are willing to die in there, so you have to protect them from themselves. They might not like it, but they'll thank you when in 20 years when they're still able to sit down and talk to their kids.
Yeah.
So,
like, I wouldn't mind. Michael Bisping was saying from about 2-3 minutes in that this fight could have been stopped.
Yeah.
The guy was taking a lot of damage. He's still young in his career. Like, fighting another day.
Yeah.
You know, fighting another day. That was pretty grim. Anything else from the card?
No, that's it from me.
Great stuff. Jorge Masvidal said he'd rematch Ben Askren if Askren gets some wins. They've been going back and forth again on social media. Askren says he's happy that Jorge's finally admitting that Askren made him famous, and it's kind of a bit of crack. It's funny. But what's your thoughts on this? Is this a fight that you would first, be up for seeing again, and also do you think that it'd actually happen again at some point?
I wouldn't have a problem seeing it again. I think there's a sense of intrigue around it just because of how it was 5 seconds. Like, it's not like he was starched after 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
We didn't really see a fight.
Yeah.
We didn't see a fight.
Yeah.
Well, do I think it'll happen again?
Do you know what it seems to me? It seems to me
I don't know.
like a fight when both Jorge Masvidal and Ben Askren are, a ways away from the title.
Yeah.
They're a little bit older, maybe in 2 years, and they're like, let's run this back and let's make some cash.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we'll see it anytime soon again, to be honest. But I do think Ben Askren could probably talk his way into most fights just because he's very good at talking.
It does seem like it's one for the back pocket, doesn't it? It's just like, let's hold that in the back pocket and then we'll pull it out.
Nate and Conor 3.
Exactly. Yeah, let's hold that in the back pocket and we'll do it again.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if I'm on a 15 fight losing streak. People want to see that fight again just because of what happened in the first. Even if they think it's going to be another flying knee in 5 seconds, it doesn't really matter. But I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And George St. Pierre is in the news again, and he seems to pop up every once in a while to talk about this Khabib thing. So he said that you're not a fan of this. So he said that he would fight Khabib if everything was contractually aligned.
Show me the money is what he said.
Essentially, show me the money.
Yeah.
Jerry Maguire. So would you did you see this? I don't know if you showed it to me, the opening odds if this fight ever happened.
Oh yeah.
Khabib was a huge favourite, wasn't he?
Khabib was like a 1-3 favourite.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So yeah.
But yeah, would you like to see this at this point? I know a lot of people that would. I know you were kind of saying, but is that more so you're sick of the story?
Yeah. I would like to see the fight. I think it's a really interesting fight. I think GSP is very good at playing the game. all this. He's an expert at like going into retirement, coming out, making a bag load of cash, fucking off, saying he's retired again. Yeah, if the money's right, he'll fight. He has other issues with the Under Armour deal and pay-per-view stuff and that. Like
that's what I thought the whole like issue with him retiring was. That he really couldn't come to an agreement with the whole Under Armour thing and stuff, and also the pay-per-view split. Like with the new deal, it looks like they're getting less pay-per-views, but like so that means they're getting less pay-per-view points. So it's a very complex and complicated thing, but I'd still like to see it just because.
Yeah, it's an intriguing fight.
Yeah, like GSP has never been dominated in wrestling. Khabib has never been dominated in wrestling. Let's see what happens. And like the intrigue of GSP being the much bigger guy is also there. So
GSP's looking thin right now.
He is looking thin. Yeah.
So
that's kind of fun. Cain Velasquez officially announces his UFC retirement. I thought this was kind of weird. So like when he put out this announcement, he specifically said UFC retirement, which to me sounds a bit weird because if I was an MMA fighter and I was retiring from MMA, I'd say MMA. I don't know if this was a little. I don't know, a little strategy from Cain Velasquez to leave the door open to other potential possibilities. But I thought that was interesting. But yeah, he's retired from the UFC and he's officially signed now with the WWE.
Yeah. I'm laughing because he's out of the USADA testing pool.
Yeah.
Is what's in my head now. And that man is going to be juicing. Oh, baby. Cain's on the juice. He's going
to show up with like a very revamped physique.
Cain's on the juice. He's going to appear over in... Let me think of a promotion. He's going to appear... Name a promotion, Rob.
Rising?
He's going to appear in Rising. Jacked to fucking bits.
Here we go, right? Bold prediction.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon starting an MMA promotion. He'll do Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar on pay-per-view. WWE, pay-per-view, MMA.
Brock's going to have gills coming out of him. Yeah. He's going to be fucking whacked out of it.
Would you watch that?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I would be all over that.
Money. Take my money. If I bought pay-per-views, I'd buy it.
Oh, man. That just came to me right there, and you know, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, Cain's gonna have fins on his back or something like.
Yeah,
gonna be juicing the bits.
Jesus Christ, that'd be unbelievable.
He's doing well at wrestling. It sounds like he got a good contract as well because he had some interest from other promotions. But yeah, it's good to see him doing well.
I'm all for it. Like Cain Velasquez, he has a little bit in my heart because I really enjoyed to watch. I really enjoyed watching him fight when he was in the game, and there was nobody like him at heavyweight. So him going over to WWE, doing his thing, making some fucking money.
Yeah,
he wasn't making money in MMA at that point because he couldn't compete. Like there's, like with the WWE, like a really grueling entertainment sport, whatever you want to say, on your body, but like it's manageable, like in a certain way. Whereas like with MMA, you got to go through that camp. You got to like the fights.
The camps are harder than the
exactly.
Than the fights.
So it's not really the fight. Like a lot of people talk about how wrestling is worse on your body in the long term, which I do think it is because like all the travel and all that. But I'd say he has a cushy deal. Like I'd say, you know, a certain amount of matches a year, you know, all this kind of stuff.
And some of the moves he's pulling out so fan wrestling. Oh, mad like.
Yeah. Like proper luchador stuff. Like fair play to him, man.
So yeah, gas. Go on, Cain, boy.
Go on, Cain.
Sticking needles up your arse.
Yeah, and the WWE are sticking on the rematch, the big rematch. What's going to happen? There. What's going to happen? UFC, Yair Latifi is moving back to heavyweight. Yeah, so Yair Latifi fought heavyweight years ago.
I don't remember him at heavyweight.
Nah, it wasn't in the UFC. It was pre-UFC. But you know, big dude. Certainly looks big. And there's a question of whether, you know, there was a point of diminishing returns, him fighting these much faster guys at a lower weight, but now him going up, similar to like Ryan Bader, who's gone up and, you know, he's had a speed advantage over his opponents and stuff. So what's your thoughts on Yair moving up to heavyweight?
Makes sense, I suppose. If he gets 2 wins, he's probably going to get a title shot. Like.
Yeah.
He's not getting anyone near Jones at light heavy. Nah. He's not getting anyone near the top of that division. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to see him.
It's hard to see him.
There's some interesting matchups at heavyweight. Yeah. It's kind of just filling out a thin division.
I agree. But that's probably the reason why he's doing it as well. Like he sees there's an opportunity.
There's a quick pathway there.
Exactly. Yeah. And if he gets a couple of wins, you know, it's been proven, I think, at this point, for the most part, that if you were like a smaller-ish heavyweight, you can do a lot better against these bigger guys. You know, a lot of the time it's not always size. So. Size doesn't always matter that much.
It's what you do with it, baby.
It's exactly what you do with it. I wonder though, like, here's your prediction, right? We'll come back to this once Yair makes his actual debut. But what's your thoughts on what his weigh-in weight is?
232.
232. Great stuff.
He's gonna. Those boys chunk up a lot more than. There's a lot more on them to chunk up if they go heavy.
Yeah. Let himself go.
Yeah.
Go full Anthony Rumble Johnson.
Yeah.
I love it.
What are you saying?
I'm gonna say. See, I was gonna say something similar to that. Now I look like an asshole picking a similar number, but I'll say like 235, like kind of around that area. I don't think it's gonna be like 215, 220. I think he's gonna enjoy himself.
Yeah.
Manager Ali Abdelaziz is in the news. So if you don't know who Ali Abdelaziz is, he's manager to the likes of Khabib Nurmagomedov, a lot of Cody Garbrandt, Usman, lots. He's a big time manager in MMA.
Him and Audi are probably the two biggest.
Him and Audi are probably the two biggest managers in MMA, and then probably third, or even you could argue second or whatever. Abraham Kawa, who he works with, Malky Kawa.
Scrapping with.
So essentially Ali Abdelaziz is being charged with battery for two separate incidents. The first one was with Colby Covington. If you haven't seen the video, it was Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington having a bit of back and forth, and Ali was like trying to throw punches and all that, and there was a big like line of people behind Covington, and it was weird because like all the comments were, Jesus, Covington seemed like the respectful one, or the good guy here. And then he had an incident, I think it was last week, with Abe Kawa, where apparently he punched Abe Kawa for some reason. Not sure why.
This is funny because Ali's probably more well known than a lot of his fighters.
I know.
If Ali was a promoter, he'd be brilliant because everyone would know him. He'd be gaining publicity for all his fights. He's a manager. Do your fucking job and get some good contracts for your fighters, which he's clearly doing. You're not a fighter, like. No one cares. Everyone thinks he's a prick, like. Yeah, there's no need to be out scrapping, like. If this was McGregor.
Oh, yeah. It'd be mad. Like.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. Like, it's just absolutely bizarre. He is a fucking manager.
I know he rolls with his fighters, but like, you're not a fighter. Like.
Yeah, like, fuck me.
You're a manager. Stay in your lane.
Yeah, like, he had a few fights and stuff, but like, at the end of the day, he's doing a job. His job is to represent his client, and here he is. Like, I didn't see. Was there a video of the Abe Kawa incident?
No, I haven't seen one. I seen tweets at the time saying that there was rumours coming around that Ali was involved in something.
Yeah.
And no videos.
No videos.
So, yeah.
But I seen the video of the Colby one, and the Colby one was ridiculous because like it's just mind-boggling. What are you doing, Ali Abdelaziz? But yeah, it's only a matter of time before the UFC kind of have to not associate or disassociate with this guy because he's pretty much toxic. Like, if you
There's some shady stuff going on in MMA management.
Go look up his background. But yeah, MMA management in general, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, these some
dodgy stuff,
some dodgy dealings. California, to the State Athletic Commission, in other news, are in the business now of cancelling fights if a fighter competitor weighs over 15% of their contracted weight on the day of their weigh-in. So previously, before this, which was redundant, so previously what they did was they recommend that a fighter move up but the fight goes ahead, but now they are going to cancel fights if a fighter comes in 15% over their contracted weight. What's your thoughts on this one? Because I think you can go two ways with it.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for it. I think they're trying to make a change with weight cutting. Look, I only think it works if everyone does it. If there's proper alignment across all state athletic commissions, then it works. Right now, I think they're just going to get themselves out of some big fights in California.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to put, we spoke about this earlier, you're not going to put Yoel Romero in California anytime soon, are you? You're not going to put Joanna in California anytime soon.
Yeah. Do you think it will discourage the UFC doing cards
100%.
there? Yeah.
Because I spoke to you earlier about Nevada. I thought you
were going to be like, because I spoke to Dana earlier and he was telling me.
Nevada are struggling at the minute to get some of the bigger fights boxing wise because Bob Bennett, the commissioner there, is trying to tighten up some of the matchmaking.
Yeah.
He doesn't want people fighting so many binmen. So they're not they basically fill up the cards, like, so he's struggling to get the bigger cards in Vegas. That's why Fury was fighting in New York recently and stuff like that, and Frampton as well, guys like that. So I think they're just going to get they're going to struggle to get some of those bigger fights to California now.
Which it's a weird one, isn't it? As well because like the only time I really remember the UFC running into that problem of them trying to make a fight and somebody like a commission pushing back was when the UFC done the fight in New York and they wouldn't let Ali Quinta step in because not Ali Quinta, Paul Felder. Joe Felder. That's like Joe Felder.
Yeah.
That's his outfit.
And it was that time Nevada would license Jones and they had to move the crowd.
Yeah, that one as well. But like the other time where it was actually like this guy isn't ranked, so he's not eligible. That was in New York, so it's mad the way it's kind of different for boxing. Obviously, the kind of thing we were talking about as well was like in California. Andy Foster, who was one of the kind of the heads of that commission, was a former MMA fighter, so it makes sense for him to be concentrating. He's
definitely well informed on the issue.
Yeah, exactly. He seems to be concentrating on it. So yeah, I agree. I think it's I like it. And to be fair, right, if you're getting 15% leeway on fight day, if you're fighting at 155, you have like 23 pounds essentially to put.
You have to be a big boy.
You have to be a big dude. So that's So it's mad, but I think it's the right way to do it. But also, if a fight comes around, everybody's excited about it. They do it in California, and it falls out because of this. I think a lot of fans will change their tune on this because, like, our fans, like, we're kind of, because we like talk about this all the time. We cover the sport in a certain particular way. We kind of are, I think, more on board for this type of things. But there's fans out there who don't really care. They just want to see the fights.
I think that's what you're going to see. Those kind of fights like Khabib and Tony ain't hitting California.
Oh, no.
That much.
No. A fight they want to protect.
Fights they want to protect aren't hitting California anytime soon.
No. Do you see any commissions following suit and doing a similar thing? Like, because that seems to happen.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Unlikely.
Yeah.
Because if, say, you have 10 commissions doing this, you're going to have one commission who say, fuck it, now we'll take all the fights.
And they're like going
to get all the big fights.
Monopoly on the fights.
They're going to get all the big fights.
That's a good point.
You're always going to have people looking for opportunities.
It's weird, isn't it? Because they're supposed to work together. Like, that's from what I've read, they're supposed to work together.
There's not one. It'd be much easier if there was one overarching commission in America to look after all of this.
Yeah, like the United States Commission, and then they kind of make the decisions and it feeds down. I agree, but then, like, America are all about their state rights and all that, so our audience is like 90% Americans.
Love you all.
You're not ticks. You're great.
Yeah. We love all you guys. It's some of the lawmakers over there, right?
Yeah, it's some of the lawmakers. Dastardly fellows. That's all the news that I have down, but there's plenty of other news, I think. So I'll let you go first. Is there anything that you've seen that you are really interested in talking about?
Yeah, Dana White's been talking, again, there's a lot. He's been talking for a long time, though, about Zuffa boxing. And he actually kind of released some details about it. He basically said he's not going to work with any of the sanctioning bodies in boxing. They are the WBA, the WBO, the IBF, and the WBC. For anyone who doesn't know, they're basically the 4 sanctioning bodies, and they are the 4 different bodies that you can fight under.
Yeah.
They're not a promotion. They have the 4 big belts. Basically, what he's trying to do is take out the politics and employ the UFC model in boxing, which I'm all for.
From a fan perspective, yeah.
But you basically have to get every boxer in the world to agree to it, because the belts hold a lot of prestige in boxing, and whether you like or dislike the politics in boxing, the belts hold a lot of prestige. And
what about the super duper bantamweight title? Is that prestigious?
Like,
I'm joking.
The world championship belts have a lot of history behind them in boxing.
Yeah.
So guys want to win them. They want to fight for them, and they will turn down more money to win belts. So
he would create like Zuffa Boxing World Heavyweight Championship, essentially.
Yeah.
That's
essentially.
Yeah.
And he also said he's not going to work with that piece of shit Oscar De La Hoya.
What did Oscar ever do to him?
He said he'll probably do a lot of work with PBC, who are Premier Boxing Champions, and Al Heyman. Al's a guy who you don't hear a lot of. Still advises Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Guys like that. He's a bit similar to Ali, except less shady of a background.
Really? Is he?
And that, like, he inspires a lot of loyalty in his fighters. Doesn't pay them as much as they could get elsewhere.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the less shady of a background. Pays his fighter a lot less than they could get at the likes of ESPN, DAZN. But for some reason, his guys seem to be uber loyal to him. So it's kind of that one. He has Deontay Wilder as well.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, isn't he? Like that. Like, I'm just looking at him now.
You never see pictures.
Like,
he doesn't go out.
It's like I've never really seen him around the scene, the boxing scene. Like, I always hear the name. Like, the name is like ubiquitous to boxing. Like, it's everywhere, but you never see him. That's weird.
Yeah, he doesn't do any interviews. He's behind the scenes orchestrating all the time. One of the most powerful men in boxing. Him, Eddie Hearn, guys like that. John Skipper at DAZN.
Yeah, so it's the ones you don't see.
Yeah, if they did do a lot of work with PBC and him, and they could get Deontay Wilder on board, that's a big coup.
Yeah,
that's a big coup.
They wanted to. It was Joshua, wasn't it? That the UFC or Dana White wanted to sign for.
That man's earning a lot of money.
That man's earning bank. My PC just died, but I have this one. So yeah, that's really interesting. I think that's I think that's something that a lot of people aren't talking about right now. But I think it's a story that I think people should be following.
I'm kind of putting it down now as well, but it has to start somewhere. And who knows? In 15 years, we could be looking at the end of those 4 sanctioned bodies, and everyone's just looking at it as if a boxing.
Do you think though for fighters that's a good thing?
The end of the 4 sanctioned bodies.
Yeah, or even like having this kind of model, like having a UFC type model, because like I know like Mike Tyson was on Ariel's show and he was talking about how boxers are paid and how
a lot more,
especially in the upper levels,
even mid-level. A lot more.
I think it's probably just the really lower levels, maybe that, but probably not even. It depends, but like it's very different because like when Floyd Mayweather fights, Floyd Mayweather gets a piece of all the merch that is sold, the hot dogs that are sold. He gets everything. Like he gets a piece of everything.
Like Anthony Joshua, when he fights, he owns the show.
Yeah,
he owns the show.
Him.
Yeah,
and like at the end of the day, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Like I mean, people are watching because of Anthony Joshua, not the WBC or whoever the sanctioning body of the fight is, or whoever the promoter is, like Matchroom Boxing. Or
you could talk about this all day, to be honest, because Dana obviously is looking at it from a promoter's point of view. So he'd love the UFC model in boxing because it means more money for him, and he pay fighters less money. I'm not sure what it means for fighters. I think at the beginning he's going to have to overpay a lot to get fights and good fights.
Yeah. It'll just be a lot of old UFC lads fighting each other.
Yeah, Artem will be there.
It'll basically be bare knuckle boxing, the bare knuckle boxing thing, but in boxing form. It's old, 100%. See, Artem and Jason Knight are rematching.
I seen that and I was like, geez, these guys are stuck for a fight.
Yeah, but like, fuck me.
Yeah.
Brain cells out the window. Did you see Brave CF? They're doing an open weight tournament.
I did, yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? It's mad, isn't it?
Open weight, like.
So you weren't around back in the day when we used to watch this shit.
But I see open weight and I'm like, oh, brain trauma.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen this, so Brave are doing a open weight tournament. I know Brave are doing some good things, some really good things, and of course, ex-colleague of ours, Noel, commentates for them as well. But it's just mad because they have some names in there that I look at it and I'm like, ooh. What is this? So the name that's there is Alex Emelianenko, who, if you don't know, he has hepatitis B. I think it's the really contagious one, the one that like if you bleed in the ring with him, you're fucked. So
who's gonna fight him? Like?
I don't know. Now this, as far as I know, this is like the fighters who have like offered themselves to be participants, and then they're gonna do the actual draw because it's gonna be a 4-man tournament, I think. But like you have him. But then you have some guys like Jeremy Kennedy and Cole Miller. Like Cole Miller fought at 145 in the UFC, and Alexander is a big-ass heavyweight. And not to mention as well, Alexander does some kind of holding a woman against her will rape thing that he's done 2 years for.
Good luck promoting that one.
It got thrown out of court or whatever. He got out after 2 years. I'm not sure what happened. Something happened in Russia. I'm not really sure. But yeah, it's mad. I think that's a mad story. I like the idea of the tournament in a way. Like, but open way is mad.
I can't get behind an open weight tournament. Like.
No.
From a pure freak show point of view, I'll watch it all day. But like logically, you can't get behind it. Like,
imagine seeing Cole Miller versus Alex Emelianenko.
Who's sanctioning that? Who says this fight's okay to go ahead?
Kingdom of Bahrain.
Yeah, we'll put that on.
Yeah, mad. In other news, Aspen Ladd, you see this? Aspen Ladd's appealing her loss.
Yeah.
So if you didn't see it, she fought Jermaine the Randomly, and there was a you could say an arguably early stoppage for some people.
Possibly, yeah.
And then she went and she appealed the loss, and it was actually a gender discrimination.
Yeah, I think the line they took with the stoppage was interesting.
Yeah. It was like, what was it? It was like...
said it wouldn't have been stopped if it was a male fight.
Yeah, and that was the argument made.
It's hard. I think it might be a fair point. I don't know. I think it's a hard one. If you're making that point, it's hard to say why it wouldn't have been stopped if it was male. I don't know. It's hard to defend, I think.
I agree. I think it's very hard to defend because I've seen plenty of stoppages that were really early.
We've seen loads of early stoppages.
Exactly. So I think you have too much evidence to show this was a male fight and this one was stopped early to say that this one isolated incident was because she was a female. I think it's a tough.
I think the Athletic Commission said Herb Dean is the best referee in the world. That was interesting as well.
I like her, but he had a mare over the last few.
Had some stinkers the last while, hasn't he?
Some stinkers, yeah. In other news, this seems to be all weird news. This should have been on your weird news at the end.
What's this one?
Just John Jones, like his battery charge was dropped. So apparently the woman that the waitress who filed it against him just didn't want to participate, and there wasn't enough evidence or something. So
little brown envelope. Yeah. Little envelope under the table.
I didn't say it. Sean did. Yeah. Dustin Poirier is open. Dustin Poirier is open to a £170 fight, depending on how things happen. And RDA said he wouldn't mind it.
I back it.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who'd you have?
I don't know. RDA is looking a bit old these days. I'd probably
I don't
take
know why
Dustin.
I found that funny, but the way you said it was funny. RDA is looking a bit old these days.
Yeah, as if Sean's sitting here talking in the podcast like not the fighter. Yeah, I don't know. A good fight.
Yeah.
As in, RDA is essentially just a big 155er.
See, that's the thing, isn't it? It was like when who went up and fought him? Kevin Lee.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the yoke. I was like, it's a kind of a good fight for Kevin Lee. You know, it's a little step up against a guy who used to fight lightweight.
I like it.
Any other news from your end, Sean?
That's all from me, sir.
That's all for you. Great stuff. What we'll do is we'll move on. We'll talk about card this weekend. It's actually pretty good.
It's good. I like it.
And I think we're going to give a pretty good breakdown of it. I predict these things. Moving on. UFC on ESPN 6. Reyes versus Weidman goes down on the weekend, and it sees Chris Weidman make his light heavyweight debut against a guy who a lot of people were high on. A little bit less now after his last fight, but it's still in my opinion, a fight that has a lot of questions to it, and we're going to get a lot of resolution and answers to those questions. So we're going to start at the top of the card, go right down through the main card, pick out our under the radar fights from the prelims, and that's what we're going to do. So Sean, first things first, this is an ESPN card. What's your thoughts on this main event for ESPN?
I actually think it's quite a solid card. I like it. Yeah,
I like the
I'm
card
okay
too,
with this being on ESPN, the main
Me
channel.
too.
It's quite a solid card.
Yeah.
We've seen worse cards on ESPN. We've seen some stinkers on ESPN Plus lately. So yeah, no, it's a good card. Yeah, I like it.
Cool. So the fight itself, Chris Weidman, he's making his light heavyweight debut. It's a move that I think a lot of people were waiting on. They wanted to see him do it for a while. It seemed like he had trouble making middleweight, but he wasn't the biggest middleweight in the world either. Dominick Reyes, his last outing wasn't the best. Got a close split decision, I think it was, against Volkan Ozdemir. A lot of people thought he lost that fight. So how do you think these two guys match up now?
I think it's a really interesting and important fight for both guys. What I said this to you yesterday, Weidman's 1-4 in his last 5. Yeah. So he definitely has a lot of question marks at the minute. And it's not, he fought some damn good guys in that run of fights. Yeah. But you don't want to be going 1-5 in the UFC. No. That's cutting territory. No. And then Reyes, I won't say very lucky to get the decision because it was a close fight. It was a close fight, but a lot of people thought he shouldn't have got the W in that one. It was a close fight, so it is what it is. But now he, like you said, a lot of people were high on him. Not so much after that last performance. So yeah, he has a couple of questions to answer as well. Yeah, like I think with Weidman, like he's obviously he's a former champion and he done great things in the UFC. But like now that you think about it and think of kind of where he is in his career right now and where he was at the time, the kind of memories that I have of him, like he probably peaked in 2015, 2016. Yeah, he's very much at a crossroads now, I'd say.
Yeah, like it's been a long time since I think Weidman has really been like the world beater that we thought he was. And then Reyes, I was kind of disappointed. Like I was fine with the decision against Ozdemir.
Yeah, close fight.
It was a close fight. Like it wasn't a robbery. No. I think it was a close fight that could have went either way. And like I understand why people were upset with that one. But now I'm a little bit less high on where he is. I think he had a lot of problems in that fight. And the one main like part of the fight where I thought he had a lot of problems was in his cardio. And that's why I think this one is interesting, because Chris Weidman coming up, he's obviously gone up in weight, but I don't think that's going to affect his cardio. If anything, it'll probably make it better because he's not cutting the weight that he had to cut in his last few fights. He's always had decent cardio, and this is Reyes' first 5-round fight. Now Weidman, even though he was a former champion, didn't really have that many 5-round fights. He usually finished, but he did see 5 rounds in I think 1 or 2 fights when he was champ or around that time. And he also went to 4 as well. So I think if it goes late, it could be very interesting here because we don't know how Reyes is going to handle that 5 rounds, considering he gassed against Ozdemir in 3.
Yeah, I think it's interesting having Weidman step up as well, because he wasn't the biggest. It's not like you were looking at him every time he cut to middleweight like Yoel Romero, and you're like, how is he making 185? Of course he was big, but he's not going to be the biggest 205er, so that's going to be interesting. Has he put on muscle, or has he what way has he done it? So that the cardio one is interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. Like, I think him and Joanna are probably like a similar kind of weight scenario. Like, I think Joanna is too small for the weight class above, but it seems like she really struggles to get to the weight class she's at. So I think Weidman's a similar thing. Like, if they had like a 195, perfect. Yeah, that'd be perfect for him. But at light heavyweight, like, Reyes is a big dude, so that could be interesting. I'm actually torn on this one. Like, originally I was thinking, Reyes all day because Weidman 4-fight losing streak, but or he's is a 4-fight losing streak, or is it like 4 and 5?
No, there was a win sandwiched in between.
Yeah, there was. Yeah,
against Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah, which was a good win.
Yeah,
definitely. But like a smaller enough guy as well, at the weight class. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I think Weidman's chin has been tested quite a bit. He's taken a lot of damage, and he's shown that there is some wear and tear on that chin.
That knee that he took from Yoel Romero. That'll take some years off your life.
Sent him to the shadow realm big time. And Reyes is a big puncher. I'm very torn on this one. I'm gonna let you go first because I usually go first in these ones. I'm gonna let you make your pick first.
So I have the odds in front of me, and Chris Weidman is a 6-4 underdog, and Dominick Reyes is 1-2. I'm not mad on taking either of those prices, to be perfectly honest.
No, I'm not happy with that line.
I don't know. I'm leaning a little bit towards Reyes.
Yeah,
I'll take Reyes, but I wouldn't back this one with stolen money, to be honest.
Yeah. See, I still think that Chris Weidman is probably the better fighter. Like, I think if you're just going skill for skill, I think he handles Reyes on the feet. Like, Weidman's a fairly good boxer. I think if it hits the floor, Weidman is a fucking wizard down there.
Ray Longo and Matt Serra down his back.
Like, Matt Serra is a badass. So, like, I think he's still the better fighter. But we were actually talking to a colleague of ours earlier on, Carl, and he was like, Jesus, Chris Weidman just finds ways to lose. And it's true. Like, he just seems to find ways to lose. So I don't like picking him, but I really feel he's the better fighter in there right now. I think Reyes has a ways to go. He's still, young in the game. I'm going to pick Chris Weidman. I'm not happy about it, but I don't like the line of Reyes. Like, if I was going to bet on it, I wouldn't be betting on Reyes.
I wouldn't be betting on this one. I
wouldn't be betting on either guy. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think if you're all being right, I think Weidman's a better fighter. But I don't think you can confidently pick either of these guys.
I don't think so.
It is a very interesting matchup for a main event. It's very good.
Yeah, and if you're following Reyes' career and you're a big fan of him, hopefully for your sake, he's made some good improvements in terms of cardio and stuff like that and fight management.
One thing I do hope we get is a corner cam on Ray Longo and Matt Serra, just for the whole fight. Yeah. Can we have that on the red button or something, please?
Do you remember that? I don't know which card it was or what fight it was, but it just went to Ray Longo and Matt Serra, and Matt Serra just goes, fucking decapitate him, come on. Yeah.
Brilliant.
I didn't try to do the accent, but it was there. Co-main event is probably the most anticipated one on the card.
This one snuck up on us.
It did. It snuck up on me big time. I didn't think this was happening on this card until I looked at it this morning.
I knew it was rescheduled, but I didn't know when it was rescheduled for. This one snuck up nicely on me.
I think when they do rematches, it's usually like a few months down the line, and because this one ended like
15 seconds no damage taken.
Eye poke. So, Sean, thoughts on this one, and did we learn anything from their first fight?
We learned absolutely fuck all from that first fight. Basically all we have now is we're looking forward to the fight a little bit more, because there was the hotel altercation as well after the first fight.
I thought Yair was the way he handled it afterwards was a bit strange. Like, why was he saying he was looking for a way out and stuff?
You can't say he quit or he's looking for if he was going to quit or looking for a way out, he wouldn't have stepped in there. For a start.
And it's Jeremy Stephens, come on.
And you've seen his eye afterward. I mean, Stephens literally inserted his finger into Stephens' eye.
It was a pretty bad one.
Stephens has been around long enough. He ain't looking for a way out.
No, absolutely not. But I don't think we broke this one down originally. I think we might have been off on our little break. I think you might have been.
Were we off Dawson?
I think so. Were you in America at this time? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't think I was in America. No, I was back home.
It wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. It was only a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it was. I don't think we broke it down. I think we were Dawson. But if we did, and I contradict myself, I am sorry. Go find that clip.
I don't think we did, to be honest.
No, I can't remember doing it. But here's the thing. If we broke this down originally, I would have said Yair Rodriquez all day, every day. And for that reason, I'm still saying the same. I don't think... I think there's a lot of people picking Stephens in this one because of what happened, and they want to see Rodriguez get his comeuppance, and I get that because he acted like a bit of a dick, to be fair. And I can understand why people say the eye poke was intentional. I don't. Let's not get into that one. But I just think, I just think Stevens clearly has that X factor, that one punch knockout power. It's there.
He can start you.
He can absolutely start you, and he's made some good improvements with like his footwork and stuff like that. But still, he does find himself in a lot of trouble when he comes up with a guy who's a bit more dynamic on the feet, who moves a lot, uses head movement, uses his jab, and that's kind of what Yair Rodriquez does. So I'm gonna go with Yair Rodriquez in this one. Don't slate me saying, oh no, Stevens is gonna win because Rodriguez is an asshole. I just think it's a bad style matchup for Jeremy Stevens. So I'm gonna go with Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah, I know Yair is coming off the loss to Zombie.
No, he won that one.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, because he was losing.
Sorry, sorry.
He was losing that one.
I made the same mistake when we were talking about Zombie last. So he beat Zombie with that up elbow.
After losing the probably
he was losing the fight. Like
it was going to decision. He was losing.
Yeah, it was going to decision. He was losing the fight. So it's a tough one. Jeremy's been around a while.
A long time.
And for some reason in my mind as well, I have Cub Swanson in my mind, who we've already spoken about. And I'm like, oh, we all sort of picked against Cub, didn't we? The old guy fighting Cron Gracie.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Go for it.
I think all being right, Yair is the better fighter. I'm just not sure. I think Jeremy might be able to land on him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Like
it's priced up very. It's 5-6 and 5-6.
Is it?
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense, I think.
Yeah.
Especially with like the bad blood now here, if it actually exists. I don't know if. Like I think on
they don't like each other.
Yeah, I think on Stevens' end now, I just don't know what Yair Rodriguez was doing. Like
yeah,
I don't know. It was bizarre, but like Jeremy Stevens is still excellent.
I think both of these guys are going to be going in fighting on emotion. You could see a bit of a brawl here. I think
you could, and if that happens, then
Stevens.
Give me Stevens, please give me Stevens. But Greg Hardy is back, and he fights Ben Sassoli, another guy you've probably never heard of.
Yeah.
No offense to him, just it is the way it is. But to
be
fair,
it is what it is.
Max Holloway. But to be fair, Greg Hardy's in a stage of his career where he shouldn't be in there fighting the best guys in the world anyway. No. So let's give the UFC some.
It's fair matchmaking.
It's fair matchmaking. But nobody knows who this guy is. But he's ranked like number 1 New Zealand heavyweight or something like that. So or Australia regional heavyweight. So whatever. I have a video there. If you want to show this,
I'm
really
going to pop it up on screen for the guys.
So doing some research now yourself, Sean. I need to research these guys, and I saw this video. So this is Sassoli, spoiler alert, knocking out a guy called Kelvin Fatiel. So you'll see a little bit of Fatoli here. Let's play it. You'll see a little bit of him, but you'll also see a horrendous stoppage, which I was like, I need to show the guys this.
Rev, come on. Even he was like, Jesus. Sassoli, geez, Sassoli was like, what happened here? You're not stopping it.
Like, rewind that there. Like, I think, rewind that. Where am I?
Rewind that, yeah.
What was like 40 seconds or something, isn't it? Right. Credit to Hex 18. So, like, realistically, here, that guy was out there.
Yeah.
Could have really stopped it there.
Stop
Definitely
stop
it there.
Stop it. Like, come on.
Like, look at the referee's like, no.
Nah.
Give him a few more. Now I'm happy.
Give him some brain trauma.
I've seen that guy ref in the UFC as well. I don't know what his name is, but
bad. Very, very bad.
We've seen a bad one this weekend, and there's another bad one for you.
Yeah.
But
not nice to see.
So in a little sense, you can see what this guy is all about. He's a big puncher.
Yeah.
As are most heavyweights.
Yeah.
You know. So he has no ground game. I watched him again. No offense, he has no ground game.
He has no ground game.
But is Greg Hardy really going to look for takedowns? Probably not.
No.
But also, when Juan Adams went for that single leg that Chuck Mindenhall wrote wonderfully about.
Yeah, that was a fantastic article.
And Greg Hardy,
he's actually still shooting for that one.
Yeah,
that single leg.
Yeah, he's still shooting. Yeah, when he shot for that single leg and Greg Hardy got on top and landed some decent punches, I could easily see something like that happening, because Sassoli, from what I've seen, just didn't really have a whole lot from his back. So, it's probably another gimme for Hardy, and I'm not really upset about it. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, Hardy's in a weird position, as in he's learning his trade, but he happens to be doing it at the biggest stage of them all.
Yeah.
So the odds on this one, 2-1 on Sassoli and 1-3 on Hardy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was expecting a wider margin, but yeah.
Yeah. 2-1 might tickle your pickle. I don't know.
It might do. Like the guy clearly has power. You just seen that was a short left hook and dropped the guy.
Yeah.
And then he's not afraid to follow up with some unneeded punches.
I don't know. I think Hardy will win. I wouldn't back him at 1-3. I'd be more interested in backing that 2-1 if I was a betting man.
Yeah. Are you a betting man?
Now and again.
Well, I'm going to pick Hardy.
I agree.
With my official pick, but yeah, that's the guy. Joe Lauzon returns to fight Jonathan Pearce. Jonathan Pearce came through the Dana White Contender Series, and also I have another video if you want to show this one. Again, doing a little bit of research on these guys because I didn't see a whole lot of Pearce, and I found this news report. And first things first, it looks like two robots doing some kind of news report on a local local station. And I know, like, when you're looking at this and you're looking at this peak of broadcasting from me and Sean, it's hard to compare like these guys, but you know, they are terrible. But just you'll probably notice something about this video, Sean, if you want to have a look, and you can point it out if you notice what's wrong with this one.
A Johnson City native will now be fighting in
Look at this
front
guy
of a
kicking into gear.
national audience.
And it's all thanks to a big win this week in Las Vegas. Mixed martial artist Jonathan Pearce picked up a dominant win on Tuesday during Dana White's Contender Series.
Who's that in there?
They had some YouTube footage at the top there. Hold on, can I rewind it?
Yeah.
You've got rewind in my head now.
Yeah. So they're talking about a guy called Jonathan Pearce who's fighting Joe Lauzon.
This is Ray Borg and Casey Kennedy.
Sure is. Why are they showing this footage? Do they think that's
amateurs,
Jonathan Pearce?
Amateurs. Jesus Christ.
I was watching that and I was like, wait, this guy only fought in the Contender Series. Is that Ray Borg?
And
what weight class is this guy?
I assume these guys, Joe's a lightweight, yeah?
Yeah.
They ain't no lightweights.
No, they really got it wrong.
That's a stinker.
I love your man though. If you go, rewind that, Sean. Rewind that shit. I love your man kicking into gear. When you see him, like look at stone faced.
National audience.
And it's all thanks to a big win this week in Las
And it's all
Vegas.
thanks.
Legends. Boy, yeah, they fucked that one up.
Yeah. They literally have it on YouTube. Look at this.
Oh my god.
Amateurs.
They actually have the yoke up
Amateurs,
there
Rob.
Oh,
That's very bad.
that's wonderful. Like if they were going for like they just want to show a UFC fight, then fair enough. But you know, they got it wrong. So this is a weird one, right? Because I've watched a little bit of Jonathan Pearce, and you know he looks like a fairly good fighter, well rounded, very hittable. But he seems to be fairly good everywhere, and he's a young guy, doesn't have a lot of miles on his body. And then when you look at Joe Lauzon, tons of miles, probably should have hung it up, you know, a couple of fights ago.
I actually forgot you were still in the UFC.
Do you remember his last fight? His last fight, he basically retired on the stool, which is not me insulting him. I think it was a good decision from his corner to stop it because it had to happen. But it's not a good look seeing, you know, somebody that's taken a lot of damage having to resort to something like that at this point in his career. So I think, you know, similar to what we were talking about earlier on, like skill for skill, Joe Lauzon back in the day was extremely talented, and I think if it goes to a grappling situation, he's way better than Jonathan Pearce. But looking at the way Pearce puts pressure on guys, obviously, you know, his chin is probably a lot more secure than Joe Lauzon's at this point. I just don't know if Joe Lauzon can turn back the clock to recover on this one. So I think Jonathan Pearce is going to win by pressure, pace, just landing shots that Lauzon can't handle, unfortunately.
I think both guys at the peak. I think Lauzon's probably a better fighter. It's hard to pick him now, though. I mean, I'll take the 4-6 on Jonathan Pearce. That's going. I'm pretty happy with that.
What's his losing streak, Joe Lauzon?
Lauzon is 11-10 for those who are interested in that. I was going to ask actually if you would Tapology open just to check what the fans are saying.
Yeah, I'll check that now. But Joe Lauzon, let me try to get his record up here.
Yeah, I remember you guys gave me Joe Lauzon in educating myself, and yeah, I was so impressed with him back in the day. So like to see him still fighting now,
but you also saw them fights. There's a reason why we gave you them fights.
Exactly.
Them fights were.
It's because I'm a sicko.
Yes, that's why those fights were war. So you can see how that's war on
If you're popping up in my educating young Sean all the time, that's not good for your brain. That's not what you want to be.
Yeah. So Joe Lauzon is. So he's on a 3-fight losing streak. He beat Marcy and held, and then lost to Jim Miller, beat Diego Sanchez, lost to Evan Dunham. So he's had 3 wins since 2015.
Basically a who's of educating young Sean now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Diego Sanchez, Clay Guida.
Yeah, man, yeah. Like these guys have had wars.
Jim Miller.
Yeah, they're all over. But you can see why they're ending up in this position. But I hope, you know, if Joe Lauzon loses this one, even if he wins it, I hope he hangs it up. So where the fans go on this one? Pearce 70%, 30% Lauzon.
I'll be taking 4-6 all day on that one.
4-6, all day. Macey Barber against Jillian Robertson. This is again another interesting one. 2 girls who have a good bit of momentum. I think Macey Barber has more momentum, But Jillian Robertson got a good win in her last fight. What's your thoughts on this one, Sean?
Not a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
I like 8-11 Jillian Robertson even money, and then 8-11 on Macey Barber.
Yeah, that's not bad.
There's a lot of good matchups on this card, actually. I'm just looking at odds now.
There is,
yeah. I'm quite happy to take evens on Jillian Robertson. I think.
It would be interesting to see if Jillian Robertson could get this one to the ground, because she definitely has some skills there. She showed it in her last fight. I don't know if she was an underdog in her last fight. I think she might have been, but she looked good. And with Macey Barber, she's talking about becoming the youngest UFC champion, and she still has time. Yeah, she could get there, especially in a division that isn't so deep.
And she said that from the bat as well.
Exactly, yeah. But I do like that she had that competitive fight with JJ Aldridge, the Hannah Cyphers fight as well. So we've kind of seen a little bit more of what she can do. I think Macey. I'm gonna go with Macey Barber. I think she is the more primal of fighter, if that makes sense. Like
I like that description.
Yeah, she's a bit vicious. Like when she gets it to the floor, she'll really land those shots. And
she's got that dog in her.
Yeah, and she's clearly talented as well. And as is Robertson. But I'm gonna go with Macey Barber, and that's not a bad price for Macey Barber either.
Yeah, it's a very backable fight. I'll take the evens on Robertson, but again, I'm not confident on this one. This is a very bettable card if you're interested. Yeah. I'm not sure I'll back too much on it myself.
Yeah, it seems like everyone, like it's 87% for Barber, but in this division, in these kind of division again where it's not so deep, you can easily get upset. It can easily happen. Like you seen last week, like I think everybody was on Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah,
and then she got beat up. Like it wasn't even close.
The women's divisions are just different.
Yeah, they're very hard to make picks on. They really are very hard to make picks on. Like if you were making money off the women's division, fair play to you. Yeah, fair fucks to you. The opener to the main card is a really fun fight. It's Darren Wynn, who, if you don't know, is Daniel Cormier's boy. He's also a middleweight, and he's also 5'5". How crazy is that?
That's a mad one.
That is crazy, isn't it? Like he's 5'5" and a middleweight.
So I'm taller than him.
Yeah, I think he's like
I'm barely a
he's wider than he is tall, I think. But he's
got that barrel shape.
Yeah, he has that Daniel Cormier shape to him, Like he's the equivalent of Daniel Cormier fighting a heavyweight, being like 5'10", But he had a good win in his UFC debut, beat Tom Lawler on that infamous Golden Boy card.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But he's had a good start to his career. Obviously, I think he was on the Olympic team in wrestling, so he's obviously extremely talented there.
Kind of guy.
But similar to Daniel Cormier, he's shown that he has some serious power in his hands. But he's fighting a guy in Darren Stewart, who knockout artist, really good fighter. English, usually the port of call is to go get the takedowns. So I can see where the game plan is probably looking. It's probably looking for takedowns for Darren Wynn, keep it on the feet for Stewart.
Yeah, I'm going to take Darren Wynn in this one. They're both 5-6, so another well-matched fight, yeah. What would you have been expecting? Have you got Tapology?
I thought Wynn would have been a bigger favourite. Like, I understand it because Stewart has done well in the UFC so far, only has one loss, split decision to Shabazian, who looks good.
It's a good fight for Darren Wynn.
No, it is, so and that's good odds. I'll probably put some money on that one.
I'll take Darren Wynn.
I'll take Darren Wynn as well.
I don't know too much about Stewart personally as well, so I know a bit more about Darren Wynn just because I'm being DC's boy.
Yeah, I'm being 5'5" in middleweight. Like
that's just a novelty, isn't it?
That's insane. I want to meet that guy just to see what he looks like. Cause
I can't wait to stand next to a UFC middleweight and say, I'm fucking taller than you, but I'm fighting like 6 weight classes below you.
Yeah. Cool. Is there anything on the prelim card that tickled your fancy, Sean? Even from a betting perspective?
There's a few actually that tickled my pickle.
Yeah, tickle my pickle. Love it.
Kyle Bochniak is on the card as well. I had it down in front of me in my eyes. He's fighting Sean Woodson. Kyle is 4-6. Woodson is 11-10.
Nice.
And also Meatball Molly McCann, the Scouser, is in a, I don't want to say gimme, but I mean she's the biggest favourite on the card against Diana Belbita. She's 2-9. So
we have seen Meatball lose before. We've seen Meatball lose before as a favour. I think that was in Liverpool, wasn't it? She lost. I'm not sure. I could be wrong.
Oh, that was the one where she got that broken orbit bone, was it?
No, that was a different one. It was. I can't remember what one it was, but I remember. I think it might have been her debut or something, or it could be her second fight. I don't know. I'm talking shy.
Yeah. A good card though. So
it is. Yeah. I like Kevin Holland against Brendan Allen because Kevin Holland is a madman. Essentially, that's the reason why. But yeah, it's actually a pretty good card. I'm looking forward to it.
I like it. I give the UFC a lot of shit, so I'm going to give them some credit for this one.
Yeah.
Good card.
Yeah, and let's transition to talk about another good fight. and it was a kickboxing fight, and Sean's going to tell us what he thought of Mark Hunt
Yes, sir.
versus Ray Sefo. All right, Sean. Last week I gave you a fight to have a look at. It wasn't an MMA fight for once because you requested some kickboxing, because we know you're a filth bag and you love all these wars.
Broadening my horizons.
Yeah. So I gave you a war.
Mm-hmm.
In this MMA or in this combat sport sense. It was Mark Hunt versus Ray Sefo. What's your thoughts?
Great fight. Really enjoyed it. Mark Hunt's crazy. Like parts of the fight where they both just put their hands down and stood and hung their head out and asked to be hit. Literally asked to be hit.
Insane.
Yeah, I dare you to KO me.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant fight.
Yeah.
And Mark Hunt only took it on a week's notice as well. What a bad man.
Yeah, he was an absolute badass, Mark Hunt. I love watching all his fights, kickboxing or MMA. But yeah, that particular fight, when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, this is absolute madness.
Yeah.
Are all kickboxing fights like this?
Yeah.
Obviously not. It's just Mark Hunt and Ray Sefo. They're real.
Yeah,
They're real
and Sefo very much fought Hunt's fight by the sounds of the commentators as well.
Yeah.
The commentators are probably one of my favourite bits. The Aussie commentators are hilarious. They're so funny. The way they describe things. They just keep describing hands as what did I call it? I said it to you earlier.
Pills, was it? Something like that? Sleeping pills or something?
Sleeping pills, yes. Sorry, my brain for a minute. Yeah, sleeping pills. They don't refer to them as hands, just sleeping pills.
Yeah.
Other stuff as well, like gas.
Yeah, they're lunatics. But that was a mad fight. And
heavyweight kickboxing as well is hilarious.
Yes.
Mark Hunt throwing spinning back kicks and stuff like gas.
It was just so mad. Like, it's like watching them basically just stand in front of each other and say, here, go, hit me.
Yeah.
And then I'll hit you back.
So funny.
Mad. That took some years off their careers, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But weirdly, Mark Hunt ended up like having this crazy resurgence when he got to the UFC, which is mad. But yeah, we're going to stick on the Mark Hunt train because I got a suggestion from FIFA King UFC on YouTube a couple of weeks ago, and I said I'll go with his pick next. And it was Mark Hunt versus Fedor, and that was from Pride Shockwave 2006.
Sweet.
This was for the heavyweight title in Pride. So Mark Hunt came to MMA, went on a tear, lost his first fight, went on an absolute tear. He actually lost his fight previous to this, but that was in an open weight quarterfinal in the Grand Prix in Pride. This open weight stuff, we talked about that earlier with Brave. But then he got a shot at Fedor.
Okay.
And Hunt at this time was like a scary striker, and it was a fun fight. So
I'll check that one out.
it's a good one.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Do you have any weird news?
I have a lot of weird news.
Yeah. Let's have a chat about it then.
Couple of things this week, Rob. First up, we have the promo for UFC 244, which we both love. There's some savage old school GTA vibes, and if you know, you know.
You know.
On this one, so we're going to play it now.
Look at that.
Class.
I love the GTA vibes.
So good.
Yeah. It's no West Coast gangster.
I can't wait to see the belt. The way they've cartoonized them as well.
Like, listen, right? You can say what you will about the UFC and the way you promote fights. Sometimes it's a bit mundane.
Yeah.
It's a bit, run of the mill. But big ups to the UFC for this one because they're doing it right.
I genuinely think they've nailed it with this one. And I know it's getting a lot of stick, but I think it's generating a lot of publicity. It's getting a lot of casual interest. I think they've nailed it with this one.
Yeah, like they have the perfect fighters for this kind of promotion.
Yeah. And
you're going to get like this will catch my little brother's eye. My brother has no interest in MMA at all. But if he's seeing this, he'd be like, is that GTA?
Yeah.
No. Who are these lads? And then he might actually be interested. So.
I don't need a press conference of either of them talking. I need more of this stuff.
Exactly, yeah. And even the way they done the press conference, the way they had like a different setting, like that, at least that added something to
cool,
it. It was cool as fuck. Love it.
So next up, we know Khabib has some weird training methods, and they do some weird stuff over there in Dagestan.
They sure do. So
here he is in a freezing cold river, swimming against the current.
Jesus.
Animal.
But to be fair, look, the current's winning. I could do that.
I'd get washed away quicker.
I know, yeah. I'd be gone by then. Fucking hell, that looks rough.
Doesn't it?
I'd say that's freezing.
His dad's probably been doing that to him since he was 6.
Yeah, exactly. They should throw a bear in with him and see what happens.
If you die, you die.
Yeah, that's badass. Love Khabib.
Yeah, they're just bred differently over that part of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
soft.
snowflakes.
We're soft. Next up, Violent Bob Ross was throwing some shapes in his warm-up. You see this?
No, I didn't.
Ah, come on, Instagram.
come
Don't do
on.
this to us.
If you put a full screen, maybe it'll.
I can't put a full screen on Instagram. Yeah. So
That's
this is
right.
him just chilling, warming up. Alexander Usyk, the boxer, does a lot of this kind of
Yeah.
stuff, warm-up stuff as well. Some weird dances.
I like it.
I love it.
Just gonna paint a little tree over here, a little happy tree. That's the real Bob Ross. I like it.
Yeah.
Getting a bit of lag here, but
I am a fan.
there we go. Was this like, this wasn't when, do you know the UFC sometimes they go to the backstage and like,
Yeah.
coming up next, and then they have the lads just like boxing.
I don't
and they're
think so.
boxing for hours.
I don't think so.
That's cool though. Yeah, we talked about him earlier on. We don't need to bring it up again, but yeah, great stuff.
Love it.
Yeah.
My favourite one now this week. Have you seen this No Context Town on Twitter?
Yeah,
It's
go on.
fucking
Go
brilliant.
on then. Yeah, I like it.
It's so funny. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's hilarious.
I think there's a no context Dana White now.
Is there?
I think so. Yeah.
I think Karen says some more outrageous stuff. I watch a lot of his interviews, and it's very funny. So obviously Quentin Jackson was or Rampage Jackson was on the Ariel show, and he asked him, how much do you weigh these days? Ask your girlfriend, Rampage says. And in this video, got sound of this?
Yeah.
You cheeky little fucker. You cheeky little fucker. You cheeky little fucker.
Gas. Very funny.
I love them. They're really good. I like this no context
Yeah,
in general.
it's very funny.
Let's do a no context Sean Taylor. Somebody.
There's quite a
create
few
that.
of them, I'd say.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
He's a fucking bin man.
Yeah, fucking bin man.
That's like just the whole thing.
Yeah, it's quite funny watching him now in interviews when he's like, that's definitely getting picked up, isn't it? In No Context Town. But yeah,
Love it.
that's all for this week, Rob.
I loved it. That was fun. Thanks, Sean. Fun show. Thanks for joining me, Sean.
No
I
worries,
enjoyed it
Rob.
as always. Great chatting away. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go subscribe now. Give this video a like if you're cool. If you're not cool, then just give it a like anyway. And yeah, we'll see you next week again. Same bad time, same bad channel, and look out for some more videos.